Okay, I'm going to try it again here. I tried one to make out, to help people know, so how in the hell do these SOBs on the Capitol Hill, how do they give away our money? I mean, where do they get the authority? They've got to have some kind of authority. And so I kept looking into it, and then I happened to come across a book the other day. I've had this book for years, but I found that it was on audio. So the author, I met the author, and the poor guy got himself shot by the sheriff's department over in Arizona. He had problems at the end, and his problems were that he thinks that we, the people, are going to solve this. No, we, the people, are not going to solve this. Anyway, I tried to make the first video, and I wanted you to hear what the author had to say on how this came about. So, I don't know what's going on. Poor guy. You try to make a video, and what happens here? Okay, now see if you can pick this up.
When our forefathers wrote the Constitution of these United States, they provided safeguards against despotism by providing a balance of power. The Constitution was set up to provide clear divisions of legislative, judicial, and executive powers. It was believed that this system would ensure that if one branch got out of hand, the other two would act to keep the one in check. This balance of power was predicated upon the assumption that none of the three branches could or would infringe upon the power of the other. The Constitution is clear on the functions of each of the branches. The legislative will make the laws. The judicial will interpret the law. The executive will decide policy and enforce the law. This, of course, is the simplest of explanations, but this is not a textbook on government. My intent is to acquaint you with simple basics of the balance of power so that you can then understand how it has been subverted.
Now, that's the basic part about it. We had civics, high school civics. You didn't have to go to college for that, or law school. In fact, you're not going to get it in law school. Anyway, that's the preface to this kind of a thing. We have the three legislative bodies. These guys, these old white men that set this thing up, they were not stupid. They were the best that America had to offer at the time. So let's continue on.
The legislature, made up of Congress in the form of the House and Senate, is required to publish the laws that are made, and this is done in the Congressional Record and the Federal Register. Pending or past legislation can be obtained by citizens through their congressmen or from the government printing office. Citizens cannot be held responsible for the law if it is not made available to them. It is paradoxical that the government body most representative of the American citizen is the one that has been the most easily subverted. Through political action committees, payoff, pork barrel politics, professional politicians, congressmen who are members of secret societies, and through greed and fear, our representatives and senators quit representing us long ago. Congress has tremendous power, but fails in most cases to exercise even a token amount. How is it that our legislature has allowed and at times encouraged the executive branch to write law? You probably did not know that the president and others in the executive branch of the government can and do write law. This is done in the form of presidential executive orders, National Security Council memos, National Security Decision directives, and National Security directives.
Now, listen to that. If you have to, go over it again. This is how all these directives get written down, get voted on sometimes in secret, My God, look at the Patriot Act. Do you know who in the hell ever came up with that? And that was right out of Hitler had better sense than that. Stalin almost did. That was what they started to put the finger in your eye.
NSC memos were broad policy papers in the days after passage of the National Security Act. NSC memos became narrower and more specific over the years, and the name has varied. Under Kennedy, they were called National Security Action Memorandum. President Bush changed the name to National Security Directive. There is a tremendous difference between presidential executive orders, NSC memos, and National Security Decision Directive. Presidential executive orders are listed in the Federal Register, are presidential findings which are made known to the House and Senate Intelligence Committee. The most important difference between the presidential executive orders and all of the others, no matter what they are called, is that the others do not have to be reported, reviewed, made available to anyone, or even acknowledged that they exist.
That's an interesting fact, too. Now, I don't know, do you need the Masonic handshake for something like this? Probably. You always worry about the Jews. You know, they got the Federal Reserve. There's a few war burglars in there. You know, there were 7 other guys there, probably atheists, and you know, or maybe one other kind of quasi-Jew. But you can't blame the Jews for everything. You can't blame the Mormons for everything. Although Joseph Smith damn near got hung. Well, he did. He got run out of town because the Mormons started their own bank, and that wasn't allowed. It's part of history.
There is no oversight whatsoever that could maintain a check on the legality of these national security directives. The President and others within the executive branch have used these super-secret directives to skirt the balance of power and write law without anyone's knowledge. Justification of the President's power to write law through executive orders stems from the failure of the government to rescind the declaration of martial law during the Civil War. In effect, the United States has been under martial law ever since Lincoln's administration. These NSDs are powerful, hidden, and dangerous tools. They were prolific during the Reagan administration. Over 300 were written, with no more than 50 ever leaking out to undergo public scrutiny. Yet, most Americans have never heard of these subversive weapons. They are being used to destroy our Constitution. I believe that everyone should know about this corruption of government. Congress has turned a blind eye to these abuses of executive power. At 3:30 a.m. Saturday, August 4, 1990, the Senate made it even easier for the executive branch to subvert the Constitution and may have made George Bush the first American king.
Now listen to this. It's all right there in history, and you wonder what the hell, you know, all these people go up, what are they, Masonic handshakes, skull and bones. I mean, somebody ought, I don't care if you belong to the woman's, what was the thing in the Manchurian Candidate? Weren't they the Women's Orchid Society that these guys they were sitting in front of? And the old, don't watch that new damn thing. Watch the old one with Frank Sinatra, and you can get a lot out of it. It's called The Manchurian Candidate. Lawrence Harvey, one of my favorite actors, and the first karate scene was with Frank Silva, I believe, and I think I dated his wife for a couple of times.
At that time, on that day, a minority of United States senators, maybe 10 at the most, passed Senate Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 1991. The bill was fraudulently introduced as a reform to prevent future incidents of the abuses brought to light during the Iran-Contra scandal. Instead of preventing future abuses, however, it virtually authorizes essentially every abuse. The bill was carefully brought to a vote by Senator Sam Nunn in the dead of night when the opposition was gone. It effectively transfers most authority over the United States government directly into the hands of the President and thus directly into the hands of the secret government.
Okay, I'm going to give you just a little bit more after this, and then it becomes sort of redundant. Which is what, bad?
President was given the power to initiate war, appropriate public funds, define foreign policy goals, and decide what is important to our national security. In Oversight of Intelligence Activities, Title VII, Senate Bill 2834 authorizes the following. Gives the President power to initiate covert action. This has never before been given to the President. Prevents Congress from stopping the President's initiation of covert action. Allows the President to use any federal departments, agencies, or entities to operate or finance a covert operation. Empowers the President to use any other nation or private contractor or person to fund or operate a covert action. Redefines covert actions as operations necessary to support foreign policy objectives of the United States, a definition that is so vague and broad as to be essentially unlimited.
Pipelines. Yeah, you can use contractors for pipelines, not only to lay them, but to get rid of them.
For the first time, officially claims the right of the United States to secretly interfere in the internal, political, economic, or military affairs of other countries in direct and flagrant violation of international law. Requires that the President prepare and deliver a written finding to the intelligence committees of the Congress, but allows the President to omit extremely sensitive matters and authorizes the President to claim executive privilege if Congress asks too many questions.
Okay, it gets to be sickening after this. And this is not the only book that's around that's telling you what the hell is going on with the British Empire, the German Empire, the African Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the American Empire. Have you thought about that? The American Empire. Anyway, I'm going to leave it now. I hope this thing recorded this time, and I'll get it on Facebook, and I'll get it out to you guys, too. It's good talking to you, and we'll catch you next time.